Captain Maya Rodriguez stared at the vast expanse of stars through the command deck's viewport. The Earth fleet ship Invictus had been patrolling the outer reaches of the solar system for the past 3 months, and while the mission was important, monitoring the newly established mining operations on several Kuiper Belt objects, it had been uneventful. Until now. "Captain, we're picking up an unusual energy signature," Lieutenant Wei Chen reported from the sensor station, her voice cutting through the routine hum of bridge operations. "It's unlike anything in our database." Maya straightened in her command chair. After 15 years in Earth's unified Space Force, she had developed an instinct for trouble. Location: approximately 2 million kilometers from our position, bearing 047 Mark 232. Chen replied. "Whatever it is, it just appeared. No approach vector." Commander Eli Thompson, Maya's executive officer, moved to Chen's station and studied the readings. "Could be a sensor malfunction. Run a diagnostic," Maya ordered, but her gut told her this was no malfunction. "And alert Defense Command. Maintain yellow alert status." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency, their training taking over despite the tension that suddenly charged the air. Earth had been venturing deeper into space for decades, establishing outposts on Mars, Europa, and more recently in the Kuiper Belt, but humanity had yet to encounter intelligence beyond their own. Every crew member knew the protocols for first contact and the accompanying risks. "Diagnostic complete, Captain," Chen reported after a moment. "Sensors functioning normally. The signature is still there, and it's changing." Maya stood and moved to the main tactical display. On screen, the main view screen flickered and displayed what appeared to be a distortion in space itself, a rippling effect against the backdrop of stars that gradually coalesced into a solid form. The object that emerged defied conventional human engineering principles. It was massive, at least 3 kilometers in length, with a hull composed of overlapping hexagonal plates that seemed to shift and realign as they watched. "No detectable propulsion system," Chief Engineer Kaido Nakamura noted, scanning the readings from his station. "No radiation signature consistent with any known engine type." "Weapons status?" Maya asked, keeping her voice calm despite the hammering of her heart. "Unknown, Captain," Security Chief Adriana Volkov replied. "But I'm detecting energy buildups throughout the vessel that could be weapon systems." Maya nodded. "Communications, broadcast on all standard frequencies and protocols. First Contact Package Alpha." Communications Officer Julius Okafor nodded. "Broadcasting now, Captain." The first contact package was humanity's hello to the stars, a carefully crafted message containing basic mathematical principles, visual representations of humans, information about Earth's location, and peaceful intentions. It had been debated and refined by linguists, mathematicians, diplomats, and military strategists for decades, waiting for this moment. Minutes passed in tense silence. The alien vessel remained motionless, its hexagonal plates continuing their subtle, hypnotic shifts. "Captain, we're receiving a response," Okafor announced, his eyes widening. "It's in English." Maya exchanged a glance with Commander Thompson. That was unexpected and concerning. It meant they had been studying Earth, perhaps for quite some time. "On speakers," she ordered. "Greetings, Earth vessel," came a voice that sounded neither male nor female, young nor old, a voice that seemed to resonate directly in the mind rather than through the ears. "We are the Galactic Consortium, guardians of order and progress in this sector of the galaxy. We have observed your species' development with great interest." Maya took a deep breath. "This is Captain Maya Rodriguez of the Earth fleet ship Invictus. On behalf of humanity, we welcome peaceful contact and exchange of knowledge." There was a brief pause before the response came. "Captain Rodriguez, your species has shown remarkable adaptability and innovation despite your limited technological advancement. The consortium has determined that humanity has reached the threshold for preliminary contact and assessment." Something in the phrasing made Maya's skin crawl. Assessment. All emerging species must be evaluated for their compatibility with galactic civilization. The voice explained with an unsettling casualness. Species that demonstrate sufficient cognitive capacity and social stability are welcomed into the consortium as protected members. Those that fail remain quarantined until such time as they evolve beyond their limitations. Commander Thompson stepped closer to Maya's position. "They're talking about us like we're specimens in a lab," he whispered. Maya nodded slightly. "And what exactly does protected member status entail?" she asked aloud. "The consortium provides guidance, technological assistance, and protection from hostile entities," the voice replied. "In exchange, member species contribute resources, knowledge, and serve the greater collective needs as determined by the Consortium Council." Translation: servitude with benefits, Maya thought. "And if we prefer to maintain our independence?" The pause that followed seemed longer this time. "Independence is an illusion, Captain Rodriguez. The galaxy is filled with dangers your species cannot comprehend. Without consortium protection, humanity would eventually encounter forces that would exploit or eradicate your civilization. We offer the only viable path to survival and advancement." Maya's jaw tightened. She'd heard this kind of talk before. Colonial powers throughout human history had used similar reasoning to subjugate lesser civilizations. "We appreciate your concern, but humanity has always valued its self-determination. We would prefer to establish diplomatic relations as equals, not as protected members." "Your preference has been noted," the voice responded, now tinged with what sounded like amusement. "However, the consortium has established protocols for species at your development stage. We will now commence preliminary integration procedures." The main tactical display suddenly lit up with warnings. "Captain," Volkov called out, "the alien vessel is deploying smaller craft, dozens of them." "Shields up," Maya ordered. "Weapons on standby. But do not target unless I give the command." "Consortium vessel," she broadcast, "the deployment of craft toward our ship without permission will be considered a hostile act. Please recall your vessels immediately." "Your defensive posture is unnecessary and inefficient," the voice replied. "The approaching units are merely assessment drones designed to analyze your ship's systems and biological makeup. This is standard procedure for all preliminary contacts." Maya watched as the small, dart-like objects accelerated toward the Invictus. "Those don't look like scientific probes to me," Thompson muttered, and Maya silently agreed. "Consortium vessel, I repeat, recall your drones immediately, or we will consider this an act of aggression and respond accordingly." "Your species' paranoia was noted in our preliminary studies," the voice responded, now distinctly cold. "It appears humanity requires more direct integration methods. Please power down your vessel's systems to facilitate assessment." Maya turned to her communications officer. "Open a secure channel to Earth Defense Command. Priority Alpha." Then she addressed the bridge crew. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Weapons systems online." "Captain," Lieutenant Chen interrupted, "the drones are emitting some kind of energy field. They are attempting to interface with our systems." Maya had heard enough. Humanity's first contact with an alien civilization had quickly devolved into what appeared to be an attempted technological abduction. She wouldn't allow her ship or crew to be treated as specimens. "All hands, battle stations," she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Mr. Cato, can you block their interface attempt?" The engineer's fingers flew across his console. "Working on it, Captain, but their technology is far beyond ours. I need time." Maya nodded. "Tactical, target the lead drones only. Warning shots." Volkov hesitated for just a moment. This would be humanity's first hostile act against an alien species, before acknowledging. "Targeting lead drones. Railguns only." "Fire," Maya ordered. The Invictus shuddered slightly as its forward railguns launched hypervelocity projectiles toward the approaching drones. The shots were perfectly aimed, passing just meters from the lead drones without striking them. Consortium vessel, Maya broadcast. Those were warning shots. The next will not miss. Withdraw your drones immediately and establish proper diplomatic protocols, or we will defend ourselves with full force. The response was immediate, but not from the communication system. The drones suddenly accelerated, their formation tightening. "They're not backing down," Thompson observed grimly. "No," Maya agreed. "They're not." She took a deep breath, knowing that her next order would likely echo throughout human history. Target drones directly. Fire at will. The Invictus's weapons systems came alive, railguns spitting hypervelocity projectiles, while missile tubes opened to launch a swarm of interceptors. The lead drones erupted into blossoming flowers of debris and energy as the railgun rounds found their marks. "Direct hits on 6 targets," Volkov reported. "The others are taking evasive action, but still advancing." The main communication channel crackled to life once more. "Your resistance is unexpected," the voice said, now tinged with what sounded like genuine surprise. "No emerging species has ever responded with military action during preliminary assessment." "Then perhaps it's time you revise your protocols," Maya replied firmly. "Humanity will not be subjugated or assessed against our will. We are prepared to defend our sovereignty by any means necessary." The drones suddenly halted their approach, hovering in formation approximately 1,000 kilometers from the Invictus. "You misunderstand our intentions, Captain Rodriguez," the voice said after a long pause. "The consortium does not subjugate. We elevate. We protect. Your species' tendency toward violent responses only demonstrates your need for guidance." "We'll choose our own path, thank you," Maya responded. "Now, are you willing to recall your drones and begin proper diplomatic discussions, or do we continue this unfortunate first impression?" As she waited for a response, Maya couldn't help but think how different this moment was from humanity's hopeful visions of first contact. There were no handshakes or exchanges of knowledge, just an assertion of power met with defiance. She wondered briefly if this was how it would always be among the stars, the strong imposing their will until met with sufficient resistance. The consortium mothership's hexagonal plates suddenly began shifting more rapidly, forming new patterns across its hull. The remaining drones abruptly changed formation, creating a defensive screen. "Captain," Chen called out, her voice tight with urgency, "I'm detecting massive energy buildups within the consortium vessel. They appear to be charging weapons." Maya felt a cold certainty settle over her. This was it. Humanity's first interstellar conflict had begun less than an hour after first contact. All hands, braced for impact. Tactical, target their weapons systems if you can identify them. Communications, continue broadcasting our position to Earth Command. As the Invictus prepared to face a technological superior foe, Maya Rodriguez stood firm on her bridge. Whether humanity survived this encounter or not, they would do so on their own terms, not as subjects, specimens, or protected pets, but as equals demanding respect. The galaxy was about to learn an important lesson about humanity. They did not bow easily. Evasive pattern Delta, Maya ordered as the consortium vessel's weapons systems came online. The Invictus lurched as its thrusters fired, the inertial dampeners struggling to compensate for the sudden maneuver. It wasn't a moment too soon. A beam of coherent energy sliced through the space where the Earth ship had been just seconds before, its brilliance momentarily overwhelming the viewscreen's filters. "Analysis of enemy weapon," Maya called to Volkov as the Invictus continued its evasive course. "Some form of directed energy weapon, Captain," the security chief replied. "Power output is incredible. Our shields wouldn't have held against a direct hit." Maya nodded grimly. "Mr. Cato, status of their interface attempt." The engineer's face was illuminated by the glow of his rapidly changing displays. "I've isolated our critical systems, but they're persistent. Their technology, it's not just advanced, it's different. They're using principles I've never seen before." Maya surveyed the tactical situation. The Invictus was fast and maneuverable for its size, but they couldn't outrun these aliens forever. The consortium's technological advantage was clear, but humanity had always been good at improvising. "The consortium is hailing us again," Okafor reported. On screen, Maya ordered, never taking her eyes off the tactical display. The voice returned, now with a visual component, a being that appeared vaguely humanoid, but with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Its eyes were large, pupil-less orbs that seemed to see beyond the visible spectrum. "Your resistance is remarkable but futile, Captain Rodriguez," the being said. "We have studied thousands of emerging species. None has ever successfully rejected consortium protection. Your vessel cannot withstand our technology." "Maybe not," Maya conceded, "but we can certainly make this assessment costly for you." "Is that how the consortium usually conducts diplomacy? By firing on those who refuse your generous offer?" The alien's skin rippled in what might have been the equivalent of a dismissive gesture. "The consortium values efficiency above all. Species that resist integration often require persuasion. Once we disable your vessel, you will understand the benefits we offer." Maya was about to respond when Kaido suddenly straightened at his station. "Captain, I have an idea," he said, his voice low but urgent. "Their interface technology, it's sophisticated, but it's designed to overwhelm and infiltrate. What if we don't resist it directly?" "What are you suggesting, Chief?" "A Trojan horse, Captain. We let them think they're succeeding in accessing a partition of our systems, but it's actually a dummy network we control. Then we feed back a recursive data loop that could overload their interface protocols." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Fighting back with our primitive technology." Kato nodded, excitement visible despite the tense situation. Sometimes the simplest solutions work best against complex systems. Their technology is so advanced that they might not even consider basic countermeasures. "Do it," Maya ordered, then turned back to the communication screen. "Consortium representative, we wish to avoid further conflict. Perhaps we can find a compromise that respects both our positions." The alien's color shifted to a deep purple. "The consortium does not compromise its integration protocols, Captain. However, we acknowledge your species' unusual resilience. We will offer you one opportunity to surrender peacefully before we employ more decisive measures." Maya needed to buy time for Kato's plan. "We would like to understand more about the consortium before making such a significant decision. How many species are currently under your protection?" "The consortium oversees the development of 427 integrated species across this galactic sector," the alien replied with obvious pride. "Each serves a distinct function in our harmonious collective." "And do all these species maintain their autonomy?" Maya pressed. "Their cultural identity, their right to self-governance." The alien's color darkened further. "Autonomy is an inefficient concept, Captain Rodriguez. Each species contributes according to their capabilities and receives guidance appropriate to their development stage." Translation: "No," Maya thought. Aloud, she asked, "And what function has the consortium determined for humanity?" "Your species shows remarkable adaptability and innovation despite your technological limitations," the alien replied. "You would make excellent problem solvers within controlled environments, perhaps as maintenance specialists or colonization pioneers for challenging worlds." Commander Thompson snorted quietly. "They want to use us as their handyman and cannon fodder." Maya silently agreed. "Chief Kaido?" she asked quietly over the internal comm. "Almost ready, Captain," the engineer replied. "Just a few more moments." The alien's patience appeared to be waning. "Your decision time has elapsed, Captain Rodriguez. We will now proceed with integration protocols." The view screen showed the consortium mothership's plates shifting again, forming new patterns that seemed to focus energy toward the Invictus. The remaining drones moved into an encirclement formation. "Captain," Chen called from the sensor station. "Multiple new contacts appearing." They're coming out of nowhere." The view screen split to show 3 new vessels materializing in the space between the Invictus and the Consortium ship. Unlike the hexagonal aesthetic of the Consortium, these ships featured sleek, almost organic curves that reminded Maya of cetaceans from Earth's oceans. "We're being hailed by one of the new vessels," Okafor reported, his voice reflecting his confusion. On screen, Maya ordered, wondering what new development this represented. The view screen changed to show another alien, this one appearing more reptilian, with scales that shimmered with bioluminescent patterns and vertical pupils that narrowed as they focused on Maya. "Earth vessel, I am Admiral Zextrol of the Sentinel Alliance." The new alien spoke, its voice carrying a distinct harmonic quality. "We have been monitoring this exchange. The Consortium's characterization of galactic politics is incomplete." Before Maya could respond, the Consortium representative cut in, its skin now pulsing with angry red patterns. "This is a Consortium matter. Alliance interloper. This system falls within our assessment jurisdiction." "A jurisdiction you claimed unilaterally." Processor Vex Null, the Alliance Admiral, replied calmly. "The Sentinel Alliance contests your authority in this sector, as you well know." Maya exchanged a glance with Thompson. This was an unexpected development, and potentially an opportunity. "Admiral Zextrol," she said carefully, "what is the Sentinel Alliance's interest in Earth?" The reptilian alien turned its attention back to Maya. "The Alliance represents a coalition of independent worlds that have rejected Consortium domination. We believe that diversity and self-determination are strengths, not inefficiencies to be corrected." "They are rebels and dissidents," the Consortium representative, Processor Vex Null, interjected. "They reject the order and progress the Consortium has maintained for millennia." "Order imposed through technological subjugation," Admiral Zextrol countered. "Progress defined solely by Consortium standards." A third communication channel suddenly opened, revealing yet another alien species, this one appearing almost crystalline, with a translucent body that refracted light in complex patterns. "This is Observer Lix of the Galactic Council," the crystalline being announced. "We have been monitoring this situation with interest. It appears we have arrived at a significant juncture." Maya fought to maintain her composure. In the span of an hour, humanity had gone from believing they were alone in the universe to being in the middle of what appeared to be a complex galactic political situation. "Captain," Kaido's voice came through her private comm channel, "our countermeasure is ready. The moment they attempt another deep interface, we can activate it." Maya acknowledged with a slight nod, then addressed all 3 alien representatives. "It seems we've stumbled into a broader conflict. Perhaps someone would care to explain the actual situation to us primitive humans." Observer Lix's crystalline form pulsed with light. "The situation is indeed complex, Captain Rodriguez. For thousands of years, the Consortium has claimed the right to assess and integrate emerging civilizations, often before they develop interstellar travel capabilities. We provide guidance and protection," Processor Vex Null insisted. "Without us, many species would have destroyed themselves or fallen prey to genuinely hostile forces, while controlling their development to ensure they never challenge Consortium authority," Admiral Zextrol added. "The Alliance formed when several species recognized this pattern and chose a different path, one of mutual respect and cooperation rather than hierarchical control." "And the Galactic Council?" Maya asked, directing her question to the crystalline observer. "We are the oldest interstellar community in this sector," Lix explained. "We observe, document, and occasionally intervene when necessary to maintain certain fundamental principles. Your species' first contact has unique characteristics that warranted our attention." "Captain," Commander Thompson whispered, "they're still talking about us like we're not really part of the conversation." Maya nodded slightly. It was time to change that dynamic. "While this interstellar politics lesson is fascinating," she said, her voice carrying a hard edge, "the Consortium's vessels are still in attack position around my ship. Before we continue this discussion, I would like those drones withdrawn to a respectful distance." Processor Vexnol's skin flushed dark. You are not in a position to make demands, Captain Rodriguez. Your vessel remains under assessment. I disagree, Maya replied calmly. Our position has changed considerably in the last few minutes. Now we have witnesses to the consortium's approach to diplomacy, and I suspect that's not something you want broadly known. The consortium representative seemed about to object when Admiral Zextral interjected. The human captain makes a valid point, Processor. Your assessment protocols appear unusually aggressive in this instance. Observer Lix's crystalline body pulsed in what might have been agreement. The Council has noted similar concerns about recent consortium assessments. Perhaps a more traditional diplomatic approach would be appropriate here. Processor Vexnol remained silent for a moment, then made a gesture with one appendage. On the tactical display, the consortium drones began withdrawing to a position alongside their mothership. Thank you, Maya said, allowing herself a small smile. Now, perhaps we can have an honest conversation about humanity's place in this galactic community you all seem to be part of. There is no place for humanity, Processor Vexnol stated flatly. There is only the path of integration or isolation. Those are the only options for species at your development stage. That's not entirely accurate, Admiral Zextral countered. The Alliance recognizes the sovereign right of all sentient species to determine their own path, regardless of their technological development. A philosophy that has led to chaos and conflict. Vexnol responded dismissively. Maya studied the three alien representatives, considering their words and what they revealed about the power dynamics at play. Let me be clear about humanity's position, she finally said. We are not interested in being absorbed into any collective, nor do we need guardians to determine our path forward. We are, however, very interested in joining a community of equals where knowledge and resources are shared with mutual respect. Her statement hung in the communication silence for a moment before Observer Lix spoke again. Captain Rodriguez, your species' resilience and clear articulation of principles is noteworthy. The Council has observed that species which maintain such independence of thought often contribute unique perspectives to galactic discourse. Captain, Kaido's voice came through the private channel again. The consortium vessel is attempting another interface with our systems, more subtle this time. Should I activate our countermeasure? Maya considered for a moment. Stand by, Chief. Let's see how this diplomatic approach plays out first. Turning back to the communication screen, she addressed Processor Vexnol directly. Despite your initial aggressive approach, we remain open to establishing relations with the consortium, but as an independent entity, not as an integrated member. Is that something your people can accept? The consortium representative's skin shifted through several color patterns before settling into a muted blue. Such an arrangement would be unprecedented. All previous species at your development stage have been integrated. Willingly, Maya pressed. Their eventual compliance was achieved. Vexnol replied evasively. I think we've established that humanity doesn't follow your expected patterns, Maya said. Perhaps it's time for a new approach. Admiral Zextral's vertical pupils widened slightly. The Alliance would welcome Earth as an associate member, with full rights to determine your own development path. While the Galactic Council rarely extends invitation to emerging species, Observer Lix added, we might consider an observational status for humanity, given the unique circumstances of this contact. Maya exchanged glances with her officers. Earth suddenly had options, perhaps not ideal ones, but choices nonetheless. I'm not authorized to commit humanity to any alliance or agreement, she said carefully. My authority extends only to the protection of this vessel and the representation of Earth's interests in this initial contact. A reasonable position, Observer Lix acknowledged. However, Maya continued, I would propose the following. A neutral meeting ground where representatives from Earth can meet with delegates from all three of your factions. A proper diplomatic exchange where we can learn more about each other and discuss possible future relationships. The consortium does not typically negotiate with. Vexnol began, but was interrupted by a sudden alarm from Kaido's station. "Captain, the consortium vessel is attempting a direct override of our core systems," the engineer reported urgently. Maya's expression hardened. "Activate countermeasure." Kaido's fingers flew across his console. "Countermeasure active. They've taken the bait. Recursive loop established. And, sir, it's working. Their interface systems are caught in our feedback loop." On the communication screen, Processor Vex Null's form suddenly convulsed, its skin flashing with chaotic color patterns. The consortium mothership's hexagonal plates began shifting erratically. "What have you done?" the consortium representative demanded, its synthesized voice distorting. "Applied some of that human ingenuity you noted earlier," Maya replied coolly. "Your assessment systems are currently experiencing what we call a buffer overflow attack. Quite primitive by your standards, I'm sure, but effective nonetheless." Admiral Zextral's expression might have been the reptilian equivalent of amazement. "You successfully countered consortium technology with your current development level. We improvise well," Maya said simply. "Now, Processor Vex Null, shall we return to the diplomatic discussion? Or would you prefer to continue with your assessment?" The consortium representative's colors gradually stabilized, though its form still seemed to tremble slightly. "Your species' capabilities have been underestimated, Captain Rodriguez. Perhaps a more conventional diplomatic approach would be appropriate in this case." "I'm glad we finally agree on something," Maya said. "Chief Kaido, you can release their systems now." The engineer looked up in surprise. "Captain, are you sure?" "Yes," Maya confirmed. "Let's show them that humans can be reasonable when treated with respect." Kaido nodded and deactivated the countermeasure. The consortium vessel's erratic movements immediately stabilized. As a gesture of good faith, Maya continued, "We'll stand down our weapons systems if you'll do the same." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, surprisingly, it was Processor Vex Null who broke the silence. "The consortium acknowledges your proposal, Captain Rodriguez. We will deactivate our offensive systems and withdraw to a neutral distance." Observer Lix's crystalline form pulsed with light. "The Council will oversee this initial diplomatic exchange to ensure fair conduct from all parties. The Alliance agrees to these terms," Admiral Zextral added. "And we commend the humans on their handling of this situation. Few species have demonstrated such backbone during their first contact." Maya allowed herself a small smile at that. "Thank you, Admiral. Now I suggest we establish a proper communication protocol and arrange for that diplomatic meeting. I believe Earth has much to learn about its galactic neighbors, and perhaps something to teach as well." As the various alien vessels began powering down their weapons systems and establishing more formal communication channels, Maya finally allowed herself to relax slightly in her command chair. Humanity's first contact had been far from the peaceful exchange of knowledge they had hoped for, but it had revealed something important. In a galaxy of ancient and advanced civilizations, humanity's determination, adaptability, and refusal to be subjugated might be their greatest strengths. "Communications," she said to Okafor. "Prepare a full report for Earth Command. Tell them." She paused, considering her words carefully. "Tell them the galaxy is more complex than we imagined, more dangerous than we feared, but also filled with more possibilities than we ever dreamed." As the Invictus settled into its new role as humanity's first diplomatic vessel, Maya Rodriguez gazed out at the stars. No longer distant and unreachable, but now a field of possibilities and challenges waiting to be faced. Whatever came next, humanity would face it standing tall, on their own terms. The galaxy had just learned an important lesson. Humanity would not bow, but they would eagerly extend a hand in genuine friendship to those who offered the same.